Hey folks, Steve Vai here, and welcome to Alien Guitar Secrets Episode 9. So what I'm going to do in this episode is talk a little bit about something that I occasionally get asked about, and it seems apropos right now. And what it is have I ever had any problems with my hands? And, frankly, not usually. I've had a pretty good run over the last, 45 years and hadn't had much trouble. But I can tell you of the experiences that I've had that maybe you can avoid, and maybe some thoughts on how you can take care of things once they start coming up. You have to learn how to pay specific attention to your hands, especially as a musician. There's various kinds of pain that you can experience. There's the kind of pain that is a muscle soreness, which is usually just a sign of perhaps fatigue or overuse, like when you work out a muscle. But there's other kinds of pains that are different. They're sharper and maybe more debilitating in a sense. And they don't have to do so much with compromised muscles as they have to do with structural issues. One of the issues that does come up for musicians is carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel is this kind of situation where, running through our bodies and all are these sort of tunnels, right? Where the cables that make all of our stuff move run through these tunnels, right? And when the cable gets frayed or inflamed, it has a hard time going through the tunnel. Sorry. It has a hard time going through the tunnel. It hurts, and it gets like stuck. And this is very painful, and that's carpal tunnel. And what they usually do, and it's actually not a tremendously complex surgery from what I understand. They cut in here and they cut the tunnel, so to speak, so the cable can move freely. And this has been very helpful for a lot of people. Now, I have experienced carpal tunnel in the past to some degree. Namely, there was a piece of music I was learning. It's called Fire Strings, written by this Japanese composer, Ichiro Nodaira. And it was for electric guitar and symphony orchestra. And it was death-defying. It was the most complex, intense, hardest piece of music I ever had to learn. And I remember sitting for a week, undisturbed, every waking moment working on this piece of music. And by the end of it, I couldn't move my fingers because of this. And it was scary, of course. And I did some research into it. And I took care of it. I didn't have to get surgery, but I iced it and laid off. And one of the things that I learned from that, which was very helpful, was how hard I would play. A lot of times we play much harder than we need to. We're putting a lot more pressure on things. As a matter of fact, it slows you down. It'll kind of compromise your ability to move elegantly and briskly if you're pushing hard and trying to play hard, and it screws up your works, So that's one thing to experiment with that might do you a lot of good in the future, is just relaxing when you play. So occasionally I would feel some problems in there through the years, but nothing much. But then this happened. and no worries, I'm fine now. But okay, so I was sitting there working on, I was playing an acoustic guitar, and I was working on this really weird part of this one song. And I had my hands in this obtuse position, and my thumb was kind of like in an odd position. And I'm sitting there and I'm playing and I'm listening, I'm meditating on it and getting really deep into the chord and the sound and all this stuff and just focusing on it for about 20 minutes. And then when I was done, I took my hand off and it hurt. And I was like, okay, what did I do? A couple of days later, it developed into this trigger finger, which is not very uncommon. The trigger finger is sort of like a carpal tunnel, where the cable running through the tunnel that went to my thumb, the cable got frayed a bit, it got shredded a little bit, and then it causes this. It was weird. It like actually triggered. And then it just froze. You know, I let it go, and it froze, and it hurt. It hurt a lot, and it started to I couldn't play, so I had to get it fixed, and it was very relatively simple procedure, you know, and they just cut here and slice the the tunnel. So now it's great. I have no problems. Ow. Sometimes it's still healing, but I have to wear this because it's all cut up. You want to see? Oh, how funny. I can't believe you can pull that thing like that. Never mind. Okay, so you definitely want to be able to listen to your body. And I know what it's like when you just don't want to take no for an answer and stop playing. But really, it's the best thing to do. Now, fatigue is one thing. You know, you can you just rest it. But other, like I say, structural things, you definitely have to give it a break and see a professional. So what am I doing with this thing on? That's another story. I think after 50 years of sitting with the guitar and with my shoulder hunched up, it started to compromise some of the things on the inside here. And then working out, going further than is recommended, you know, with a range of motion and feeling pain and not paying good enough attention to it, believing I could work through it, I think was the final straw. So probably about a year ago, before lockdown, it started to hurt a bit. And then I went and got it checked, and I was doing physical therapy, and it just got worse. And I got a cortisone shot, and that can be helpful sometimes. What I understand about cortisone is it's perhaps good in an emergency, but cortisone has a tendency to compromise the integrity of the tendons also. Even though it can seem to be a quick fix for a while, you can get away with doing it, from what I understand, 1, 2, maybe 3 times, not usually. But I did it once, and then things just got worse, and I went to the doctor and did MRIs and all that stuff, and he said I needed cuff work. So it was fine. Went in there. Great doctor. I found this wonderful doctor, Dr. Knapp, Knapp. He's on a board of probably 20 of the #1 cuff surgeons in the business. And he actually designed this sling, and it's called the Knappsack. So it's very helpful, and I should be out of it in a little while. But I'm doing great. But what I started to do that completely alleviated the pain and all of this was, instead of sitting, you know, like this with my shoulder way up and the guitar like this, I put my left foot up, more like a classical guitarist position where your left foot is up. So now the guitar is more like this and the shoulder is down. And as a matter of fact, it makes it easier for me to kind of hold on to a guitar before I had the Knappsack. So, but I'm fine. You know, everything's good. And the other thing I might suggest is your posture. Now, this was something I paid precious little attention to in my earlier days, growing up and playing, and I paid the price. I developed slipped discs in my neck and my lower back, and I had to have surgery for that. But I was young. I was in my 20s, and I was with Dave Roth when I first got a disc taken out of my neck, right, and then lower back about 4 years later. And the doctor that did the surgery was Dr. Dave Roth. That's right, David Lee Roth's uncle, Uncle Dave. Amazing guy. Guy gave me a new lease on life. But through the years, I still kind of found it difficult to be conscious of my posture. But it's really important. It's when your posture is in a proper position, everything flows better. There's a less congestion for the energies to flow through your body. It might take a little getting used to, but this sitting position became very helpful. The other thing I did, I had this chair made. I found this company, this amazing chair. You see this chair? Look at that. It's made by a company called Sonus, S-O-N-U-S, and they custom make it to your height. You know, so they measured me and all this stuff, and they built this chair, and it is amazing. Lovely couple, Melanie and Brian Boggs, own this company, Sonus, and it's kind of like I got my butt was molded into wooden butter or something like that. You know, it's just very comfortable, and it keeps your back straight, and it's just remarkable, actually. And so this is now my go-to chair for sitting and playing. I highly recommend checking out the Sonus chair, but regardless, whatever chair you sit in as a performer, you want to make sure that your back is straight and you're comfortable. This is just, you know, you don't want to end up like me, you know. So that's what I learned. Hopefully you'll find some value in it. It will be helpful to get into good habits. And listening to your body and taking care of things right away is a good way to, it's a good practice, I believe. So there you have it. Medicare with Steve Vai. Anyway, I want to show you something very cool. Oh, baby. This is it. My Onyx Black Pia. That's right. This is the new guitar. Check it out. And, you know, it's interesting because I can't use my right hand, but when this guitar came, I was like, I got to play it somehow, you know. And, you know. Let me turn it up a little bit. It's not working out. I still have one hand. And with the right rubato legato, you can still play, you know. So I thought, well, let me write a song for you guys. And I think I'm going to call this song Knappsack. And it goes like this. Knapp doesn't see that.